All right, this is Miss Mason Explains Encoding Memory. So last time we were together, we did an introduction to memory. And today we're going to be talking about how do we encode our memory. All right. So there are two types of memories. We have explicit memory and we have explicit memory. So explicit memory, these are those facts and those experiences that you consciously have to effortfully put into your brain. For instance, knowing the facts and figures for a math class, that is an explicit memory. This class, knowing all the vocabulary concepts, those are explicit memories. They take a lot of effort to put into our brain. Explicit memories are formed by doing effortful processing, and we're going to talk about what are the different effortful processing strategies today. Your implicit memories, these are things that don't go through the Atchison-Sheffron model. They are things that we're not fully aware of, things that we don't necessarily talk about. They're formed without our awareness. For instance, what was your mom or dad wearing this morning when they went to work? What did you wear yesterday? Well, no, you know what you wore yesterday. But these are things that you're just not fully aware of that you are putting in your brain. So let's talk about, there are two ways to encode. We have automatic processing and we have effortful processing. All right, so automatic processing, these are things that are going to automatically be put into our long-term memory. These are your implicit memories, okay? So for instance, procedural memories, so knowing how to ride a bike. For those of us who have been driving our cars for a long period of time, it kind of is, how do you start your car? How do you back up? How do you park? That kind of a thing. Those become implicit memories. You have your conditioned associations, being able to picture where things are in a room, knowing the sequence of events. Let's say you forgot where you put your phone, so like you can immediately like walk yourself through what you have done in the past. And then the frequency, for instance, oh my gosh, that's the third student that's walked by that is wearing their college shirt, so yay, Spirit Week. All right, so effortful processing, so this is what your explicit memories have to go through. It takes a lot of effort. You have to push through this. So remember, you have a short-term memory capacity of 7 plus or minus 2. But how come we can remember more than 7 letters? We can remember more than 7 plus, we can remember 5 words that have more than 7 letters. What do we do? And this is because we do these things called effortful processing strategies. These are those amazing ways that we can encode information into our memory to keep it from decaying, to keep it from basically dying in our memory, and to make it easier for us to retrieve. All right. One of the most amazing effortful processing strategies is known as studying. So here are some examples of effortful processing strategies. So we have chunking, mnemonics, hierarchies, putting things in categories, rehearsal, deep processing, semantic processing, giving some stuff context. All right. Now, how are you going to remember this list? You're gonna have to study. You're gonna have to do effortful processing. So let's talk about some of these strategies now. So the first one is chunking. This is one of my favorites. All right. We are able to memorize credit card numbers. So what I want you guys to do is try to figure out, how can you remember ACP, CVS, SUV, RO? Can you memorize that? Probably not, right? Because it takes a little bit of effort. So what you got to do is you got to chunk it. You got to organize it into manageable units. Okay? So for instance, you could chunk it into meaningful groups. X, IDK, KFC, FBI, BA, NAACP, CVS, SUV, ROF, L, rolling on the floor laughing, and BA and Q, because this is awkward. So now you're able to remember these because you've now given them meaningful chunks, right? IDK, I don't know. KFC, you know, the chicken place. FBI, the BA, that's your Bachelor's of Arts. NAACP, CVS, SUV, rolling on the floor laughing, NBA, and a Q. All right. So we're really good at chunking. All right. So another FFO processing strategy is one that, I mean, we've been talking in class all the time. It's mnemonics. So here we go. Plain, sugar, do, shall, canny, vague, pizza, seam, fire, pencil. Now, which words are easier to remember? Think to yourself. Which words are easier to remember? It's probably going to be those words that you're going to write down right now. Okay, write them down. All right, what words were you able to recall? Pause it. What words? So we're going to encode better with the help of images. So if you picture in your mind a plane, a cigar, candy, pizza, a fire, a pencil, you probably are going to remember those words a lot better. But there's no real like picture in your mind for do, shall, vague, seem. So we have these mnemonic devices that we use like an image, okay? And they help us remember. So mnemonic devices, these are tricks that connect information to existing memory, okay? All right. There's something called the peg word system. I'm not very good at it. It's where you can visually associate words with an existing list that's already been memorized, along with some numbers. So, for example, do is going to be pictured, written on a door, and door is number 4. Not very sure. It's an interesting concept that if your mind works that way, then you're good to go. Okay, the peg word system. So we also have hierarchies and categories. This is where, like, if you're doing a mind map, okay, this is if you're doing like oh god, what is it called, mind map, if you're doing an outline, okay, because you're able to branch, you're able to put things into categories and then subcategories, okay. And here are some of the concepts that we've been talking about already. So we're talking about effortful processing, sensory memory, short-term memory. Now we have how do we get things into our long-term memory. We've talked about chunking, mnemonics, hierarchies. Let's continue. And then we have rehearsal. Now, massed practice is where we cram. You guys love doing this. Okay, you cram all the information at once. If you put all of your reading questions, all your vocabulary off until the night before the unit quest or the unit exam, that would be mass practice. This is not very time effective. It's not very effective at all. It's not effortful processing. You're going to lose some information. So what we highly recommend is you use the spacing effect. And now the spacing effect was noted by Ebbinghaus. I've talked about him before in the late 1800s. And what he came up with is this idea that if you study a little bit over a long period of time, right? You study for about 15 minutes today, 15 minutes tomorrow, 15 minutes the next day, reviewing the information that you've learned previously, it is going to be a stronger memory and you're not going to lose the information. It's not going to decay in your brain. What's actually the best way to practice? Really think about using the testing effect. So Henry Roediger, he found that if you distribute your practice, and you do testing. So you're going to answer questions about the material. Hello, this is your guided reading questions. Okay, you're going to learn more. You're going to retain more than if you merely just reread the information. So doing the vocabulary, doing the multiple choice questions at the end of each module, that is the testing effect, and it's actually extremely beneficial because you're going to learn more, you're going to retain more, those memories are going to be stronger. So when you take the AP exam in May, boom, you're going to be amazing and you're going to get that 5. Okay. So we go into deep in semantic processing. So there's 2 different types here. Deep is when you're talking about the meaning of the words. This is more the semantics. So you're thinking about what does this mean? Oh, it means this, and you're connecting it with previous information that you've learned. You're applying it to a real world situation. That's deep semantic processing. Shallower is when you're just listening to it, though. So it's just the sound of the word. So if something is being read aloud to you, okay, that's shallow processing. Okay. What is this? Just later. And then the most shallow is when you're just looking at the words itself and you're not really processing anything. You're just memorizing the appearance of the words. So if you're just memorizing the vocabulary list. Okay. All right. So remember, you've got to make this information personally meaningful. So I want you guys to memorize the following words: bold, truck, temper, green, run, drama, glue, chips, knob, hard, vent, rope. Okay. So the best way to make information really, really strong is to give it some meaning. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to attach it to something that is going to help you remember it. Okay. This is how actors memorize the lines, how students memorize poems, because they decide on the feelings, the meaning of the words. So the lines flow naturally from one to the next. We have the self-reference effect. This is where you relate the material to yourself. I'm really good at this because this is the only way I'm going to remember things. Okay. Now try again. What word, those words I placed at the beginning of this slide. Write it down. Okay. Now, how can you relate these words to yourself? So I'm going to demonstrate. All right. So you got to be bold, and you're a bold truck. So you're going to have a very bold is very bright and red truck. If you have a temper, you're going to turn green like the Hulk. I run away from drama because drama is just not cool at all. Glue, and I'm going to glue chips of a broken vase. I've got a knob. Knobs are really hard for my little girl to open because she's only 2 years old. And I'm going to climb down the vent using a rope. So now you've made this list meaningful. Okay? All right. Okay. So let's review. There are 2 types of encoding. We got semantic encoding, the meaning of words. Okay. You have acoustic encoding. This is the encoding of sound. All right. And you have visual encoding. This is where you're encoding picture images. All right. Okay. So you got to figure out which type works the best. Okay. So which type is going to work best? What do you guys think? Of course, it's going to be semantic, thinking about the meaning of what does the word mean, how to apply it to a real world situation. This is why we make you do the vocabulary the way that we make you do the vocabulary. Just saying. All right. So for the rest of class, if you've already finished this, make sure that you're starting to work on your memory experiment. Determine what memory experiment research question you and your group are going to do. Thank you so much for viewing Miss Mason Explains. Good luck and have a great rest of your day.